Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of Out in the Wash. Yes, you heard that. Episode 10! That's man to me. The podcast where we take a look at everything happening in the EastEnders, Coronation Street and Emmerdale. The twists that work, the ones that don't, and the characters who seem determined to make the worst possible decisions every week. Let's start, as always, in Albert Square. Actually, before we fully start in Albert Square, I'd like to apologise this week. I'm a little bit under the weather. Randomly, this week I had developed a sore throat within an afternoon. I was fine at lunchtime. By tea time, I was not well. So I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit this week. I did think about not recording, but my voice seems to be holding up okay. So I do apologise that it may seem a little bit off this week. I'll try and keep the energy there, but it's more of a chilled one. But we are at episode 10. Thank you if you've listened to every episode. Thank you for joining me on this. I didn't actually think I'd get to episode 10. Please tell a friend. Please share. Like the page. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I really had to think that. YouTube as well. I'm on there. So EastEnders. Right. I think the main theme of this week's EastEnders has been Ravi. It's all come to a little bit of a head. Nah, I don't think this is fully over yet for him. There's still a way to go. But this week, we knew that Mark had worked out that he was the rat. He, like I said, he didn't actually say to the people higher up that who it was, but he just said he had them. And he decides to kind of play. He almost plays Ravi at his own game. Tries to get, he goes breaking into Ravi's, tries to get info. I mean, I don't know how many informants are going to just leave documents lying around, really. Like, I would think it's all pretty verbal, let alone a printed out email or a letter or anything like that. A bank statement, maybe? Is that what he was looking for? That he's maybe being paid to do this? I don't really know what Mark was looking for there, but Priya finds him and manages to absolutely lie a way out. I mean, if anyone could probably do Ravi's job better than Ravi right now, it would probably be Priya. Like, I thought at one point that was what was going to happen, that Priya was going to be made to be the informant and she'd end up doing it, take Ravi out and let's replace her. It didn't happen that way, which is kind of good. Those kids need parents so bad. But they've Avani and Nugget have kind of been the two mature ones this week. They've said, look, don't lie to us, tell us what's going on. I know you want to protect us, and that's really sweet of them. They are growing up. They're not the squabbling teenagers that we're used to seeing. They're growing up into young people. They know something's not right between them. And they want to be told what's going on. So Priya kind of gets him out of it, but then, and Ravi's been going through it all week. He's been pushing himself so far at the gym, and I think he's sort of using the gym as a way to self-harm. He's just, he's stripping down those muscles and just working them out of into the zone, not thinking about what's going on. And he kind of gets more and more, I've been trying to think of the word. He's not really psychotic, but he's more hyped up, het up. He's, he doesn't care. He thinks he's invincible sort of thing. And he gets in the car, and that damn car as well. I said this car would be so central to everything. Like, it's not Brum, is it? But, this car would be part of it. And he gets Mark in the car, and off he goes. He almost runs Mark over, and off they go into Epping Forest. And if that wasn't the same bit of forest that Ravi drove Eve to a couple of years ago, the one with the 6 on the tree, then what? It had to be. It's the same bit of, like, I'm guessing it's Epping Forest. Like, and I thought, maybe, did I think Ravi was going to die? No, absolutely not. It would be silly to kill him off right now. Did I think Mark? Absolutely not, because obviously we've seen him in the flash forward. And keeping Ravi alive leaves him as still an option for the one holding up Lauren and Oscar at the end of the year. Like, that's an option. So they're fighting it about in the forest, and by this point Priya's told Michelle and Ross, not Michelle, Vicky. I will never get it right. Priya's told Vicky and Ross, and they've run round to Phil's, because that's exactly what you do. Is that probably the first time that Priya's been in Phil Mitchell's house? I don't, maybe. But there she is, bold as brass, and she's like, "You've got to help," and he's like, "No." He's like, "I've got too much on." No. So off they go, and this is almost similar to the thing I said about Jack being right in front of the bat van the other week when Ravi was holding up the chemist. Was that Avani just happened to have a tracking app on her phone? Of course. This man's an informant and he's allowing his daughter to track him. Okay, right. I just don't get it. But she has a tracking app and they can pinpoint where he's gone in the forest with Mark. So they all rush out. Phil at this point has said, "It's nothing to do with me, I'm not getting involved, blah, blah, blah. Sort it out yourselves," pretty much. So they go off, they find the car, and then they split up and find Ravi and Mark. And everyone's trying to pull him off, and they're trying to stop it. And then, of course, who turns up but the ghost of Christmas past himself, Phil. And everything kind of settles down. He tells one lot to go off there, one lot to go off there, you go there. And even though, they were parked together, but they somehow all arrive on the square at the same time at different points. Very convenient. Like, I suppose it would happen, but would it happen so seamlessly? No. So then we have it. That's kind of where we're at with Ravi. And then Mark wants to get out of the gang, and he asks Phil for help, and Phil makes a call, and he says, "Yeah, you're free from that. Absolutely fine." You think, really? Just like that? "Oh no, you need to pay £100,000. Right. Do you have a job, Mark? No. You got any savings? No. Okay. So what are you going to do? "Oh, well, I'm going to go round to the car lot and I'm going to take a car on a test drive and have someone else steal it." Right. Yeah, okay. Fine. So Lauren gets beat up, loses the car that she's been trying to sell all week to prove to Max that she can do the job. And so their paths have crossed again in life. They don't really say much to each other in the cafe earlier in the week, but they do know each other. Like, they've had dealings before. She was dating Stephen at that point and being in the Beals house, and she would know they've met. So they've crossed paths again. All while Oscar's flirting away, because Oscar had a great week again. I'm so glad that he's kind of back at the forefront of things. It's everything that they wanted to do with Freddie and they kind of forgot to do with him, but we now have in Oscar, and with the dynamic of the Brannins around him is so good. It's just so good. Some of it has to be off the cuff improv. It must be. Like, it's just too funny. Just when that random lad just came down, it was like, all right. And he didn't say a line. And did he get paid because he didn't really say a line? Do you get paid if you just give a kiss on the cheek? That's harsh. I was just this random bloke that came down the stairs in EastEnders. Oh, right, cool. Yeah, great. So yeah, they're Lauren and Mark, their paths are kind of cross. Are they part of this to the flash forward? Who knows? Lauren never learns. She is just like her dad, so possibly. And like I say, Oscar's had a great week. He decides that he's going to be a double agent for both Ian and Elaine. And I thought that there was something in the way that he he sort of smirked. And I thought, are you planning to bring these two together? And we've all been saying it for weeks. Ian and Elaine will just end up together. And I thought Oscar was gonna be the one to make it happen. But he messes up kind of both their campaigns. He thinks he's playing them off against each other, but they both cotton on because Oscar, you're not that clever. I mean, he's having to Google political campaigning. I never did that. I just winged it, Oscar. You've just got to wing it. This is what I'm saying as well. They're standing as independent candidates. They need more sort of volunteers and more push behind them. Like, I don't think script writers for soaps are ever fully on board with the power of a political party machine. Like, and you don't, obviously, as a script writer, you can't be over everything, but guys, there are people out there that could really clue you in on this stuff and how it works and what to do. I'm not telling you how to do your jobs, but do it better. Lastly, I suppose we've touched on Phil. Julie kind of realises that he's not wanting to go see Nigel. Lexi and Stuart. No, not Stuart. Callum. Oh my God. Lexi and Callum have been to see him, but Phil still hasn't. And it was nice. I mean, Elaine was there as an absolute... She was the female Ian Beale in that moment at the care home. But we see a little bit of Nigel this week. Please excuse me. I have to do a lot of editing on this to try to keep the fluids down. We do see Nigel a bit, but it's more within the recreation room, the communal room of the care home where all the characters are going to be in. So it's nice to see that the care home wasn't just a one-off set, and it maybe is going to be a place where characters can meet and cross over each other's paths and have those conversations in much the same way that the Vic is, the Caff is, the Albert, that we now have actually Nigel's care home because people are volunteering to go see him and have a chat with him. Just that's nice, and that feels a bit more normal, and it adds another layer to EastEnders and sets and scenes. So there we're seeing less of the arches these days. We're seeing less of maybe the laundrette. We have a bit in there, but the care home could become the new laundrette. That maybe is it. And yeah, I think that was kind of EastEnders summed up. That feels very short. I mean, I don't think I've done enough on Ravi, and you really could pick out bits. Priya realises, I suppose, that he is self-harming, and when she goes to get him that appointment with the mental health, with the doctor, he's fobbed off and told you're going to be on a waiting list for ages. He's in crisis. The man is fully in crisis. And I suppose, again, it's showing that how much of a duty of care do police have to their informants, to make sure that they're in sound frame of mind. I'm not an expert on that, but that would be an interesting way of looking at things. Poor Ravi. But again, absolute props to Aaron. You smashed it out of the park. Makeup team this week, you've smashed it out of the park. Those bruises were completely believable, and a really good week. Things are looking up for EastEnders. So tell me what you think. Get in touch. Send an email. Drop us a message. Okay, we'll move on to Emmerdale. I suppose the main theme of the biggest storyline of this week in Emmerdale was Cain and Moira losing the farm. Moira selling the farm. So Monday's episode was... Yeah, it was tough. I'm trying to think which episode was it where he told the family. Monday's, I guess he told Moira. Moira finally found out that Cain's cancer is not as easy and as treatment-free and pain-free as he was making out, and that he's a lot sicker than she knew. And it was just... when I think how amazing and how lucky it is, I know this isn't real, but for those two to have such love for each other. When I think about what Cain has been like over the years and what Moira's been through, for Cain to have this person, and it really is, it's the Lisa to his Zach, is so amazing. Like, whoever thought, yeah, I'm going to put Cain with Moira, and I don't know who that was. I would love to shake your hand. Those storyline developers back in the day, I would like to shake your hand, because there's not a relationship less believable than those two. But it's amazing. So anyway, that's my take on that for the week. I get quite teary about it, really. That's my take. So he tells Moira, and then he has to tell the rest of the family, and he tells Sam, Chaz, Belle, I think that's it. Sam and Sarah's there. Oh, and Caleb. Sam, Chaz, Belle, and Caleb. Sorry, I really do forget about Caleb these days. They need to do more with him. He's another one that had such explosive storylines when he first came, and now he's kind of just settled like a pair of slippers into the village, and I'd like to see more. So he tells them, and he's like, look, I can't keep going over this, so it's up to you to tell the rest of the family, which they do. They invite everybody else, I think possibly apart from Matty, because he's fetching the boys. And Mandy was also not present. Mandy and Paddy were also not present at this. But they tell everybody else. So they're all aware. During this, Moira has called Kim to the prison to see her and says, look, I will sell you the farm. I'm also going to tell you that Cain has cancer because the rest of the family are going to know. So it's probably going to get back to you at some point. But I want the original offer. And I thought the original offer was that Moira and Cain would stay as tenant farmers. It didn't matter what Joe had decided with Robert, that was the original offer, and no one's really talked about that. So Kim says, yes, I will sell you for you the original offer. You'll be able to pay off all your debts. The slurry accident is also mentioned again, and I suppose it will never, there's no way now that it can ever come to light that it was John. That's by the by, die a death. Like, no one's ever put two and two together. I suppose you wouldn't. There was absolutely no reason for him to do that apart from being an absolute psycho. So no one's put those two together. It was that episode with Cain telling everyone was beautifully written. It's another strength that Emmerdale are absolutely doing at the moment. And when Sam started speaking about Cain, and you just saw these tears just well up in Cain's eyes, like, it wasn't a cry, but he obviously was, and I just think he's such a different Cain. Like, if this man had cancer in the early 2010s, I suppose he's not really in the afternoon ones at the moment, but he has been. I don't know where he is. It would have, there've been a few punches, but it would have been a lot worse. So timing wise, this feels much better. There's a lot more, I suppose, that Jeff himself can bring to it. It's been a heck of a week for Joe and the Dingles, but Joe, of course, has to walk in at that point. Everyone hates him. No one wants to talk to him. And I'm wondering how difficult this is making it as well, that Dawn is running Take a Vow with Belle. We haven't really seen much of the dynamic that those two have together, Dawn and Belle. I mean, Dawn's really never around. Oh, she's gone off to they've gone to London. Spa day yet. There were no spas in Yorkshire ever. Really? Okay. But we've not seen that dynamic, so maybe that is something in the future that we'll see. Have we got any weddings coming up? Don't think so. I suppose there's not really. I can't think of anyone. Anyway, so yeah, we've not really touched on that dynamic. So moving forward, it would be interesting to see how that works between. I mean, I'm sure Belle, ever the professional, but it could rub off a bit as to how Joe is sort of bankrolling the business. Was he? I thought he was. But there we are. And we'll move on to Graham and Rona kind of come into that. This woman, Rona, why? Graham a couple of times declares that he's still in love with her and he wants to be with her, and she's like, dude, got a family, been through a lot. You can't, and it's absolutely insane that Graham would even think that he could just jump in and whisk Rona away from everything. This dude, the last time that tried to happen, you had to fake your own death. Why? Do you never learn? Are you not that wise? You act all high and mighty. How would you like it if someone did that to you? I mean, a lot of soap you could twist around and say, how would you like that if someone did that to you? But you'd be mad, right? He obviously he thinks so much of Cain and wants to protect him, but he's happy to destroy Marlon's life. Like, dude, if you cross a dingle, you cross them all. And you're not really held in the highest regard right now. And you're trying to help Cain, which will make you look good. But you're also trying to ruin Marlon's life. And Rona, you're not helping him. Because you're saying, I don't want anything to do with you, but you're touching his chest. And you're turning up to the bridge. Even though you'd found out stuff when you did turn up to the bridge and threw his sandwiches at him. But you still went and got those sandwiches. And you were like, I'm going to have a nice little picnic. Dude, stop. I know it's another storyline for Rona. And it keeps things going. But no. But Graham, by this point, he slept with Kim anyway. Kim, you've been playing for weeks. Graham, I hate you. But the minute, she's there. She's jumping into bed with him. So, I don't know. I really enjoyed the scene with Kim and Chaz. They've not really had a head-to-head in so long. But that was good to see. we're also not to forget that there's a few people, again, it's sounding a bit like Coronation Street, that Kim's not making too many enemies, and if they did decide to do a Who Killed Kim, there's quite a few suspects. And I suppose we've just come out of a whodunit as to who killed Ray, but that was resolved quite quickly, I guess. This you could drag out. And of course, in her will, she's leaving Home Farm, the house. I don't know whether it's all the estate, but she's leaving things to Lilia, not to Joe. Can you imagine if they kill off Kim and then it turns out that, they'll all move in? I'm telling you, they will all move in. Cain's looking for somewhere to live. Now, I did think for Cain, Marlon's old house is still empty. The one that him and Donna used to live in, the one that he lived in with Billy and his brother. I'll never remember Billy's mum's name. But yes, that house is still empty. That's got enough rooms, really. And it's within, it's a better commute to the garage and everywhere around family and nearer to Liam, to Chaz, to Rick. Like, it just makes sense, really, for Cain to move into that house. And I wonder whether that will be picked up on, because it's just been sat there for ages, empty. I'm sure no one's in it. I don't think Billy's in it. I don't know where Billy's living, but I don't think it's there because we haven't seen it. I wonder if that set has been used for... We stopped kind of seeing it with the hide or the depot. I wonder if that set was dismantled for the depot. That would make sense. Anyway, if you happen to listen to this and you know how sets work at Emmerdale, please let me know, because I'm curious now. I could just do the tour and ask. I could. Someone come with me, please. We had a nice little ending to the week with Bear, that he had been discharged from the mental health unit and he seemed better in himself and he realised what he had to do, and no matter how much Paddy could say, please don't, please stay here. Like, Paddy, he can't stay there forever. Paddy has this thing of, you need to stay here, and then, no, because you're just trapping him then. You're just making out that he's not well just for sort of your benefit, and in that case, you're no better than Ray and Celia. If you're just kind of trapping him there and getting him to pretend that he's not, he's sicker than he is. So that's not... this is what Paddy does. He just kind of traps. And I don't even think he doesn't mean to do it. He's not doing it sort of to be horrible. He just thinks that that's the way things work. Maybe that's the vet in him. Maybe. There's probably a lot you could pick out and delve into there, and I feel that's what I should be doing. I'll write something actually on that, as to how Paddy's behaved over this whole thing. Like, it's just lie upon lie. And Bear's like, no, I'm going to come home. If the police come knocking, they come knocking, I will go with them. Like, I got to face this head on and explain what happened. And I suppose we're going to go to a courtroom drama side of things. Maybe Paddy will be dragged in. I'm still under suspicion that Dylan will say, well, it was me, I'm sorry. And he'll sort of take part of the rap for it and help Bear get a more lenient sentence. So there we kind of are with that. We also touched on, it finally came out that Arthur was the one that pushed Laurel down the stairs. We as viewers knew, but Laurel told Nicola, and in turn Arthur told Gabby. It's funny with Gabby how much she picks and chooses how she refers to Laurel as Laurel and Laurel as Mum. I wonder if it's who's writing or how she's feeling. It's definitely a mood thing. It's kind of like, I suppose, David Platt and Gail, but she is his mum. But Laurel's not her mum, but she does refer to her as Mum because Laurel was around as Mum for a much longer time and space, a lot of length of time. That's it. Sorry, so poorly. So that comes out. Arthur fibs that he's got a job with a startup in Manchester. I did think, you off to, is it in Weatherfield? I would think Weatherfield would be a hub of startups in digital marketing or whatever it was, but that's all a lie. Although his friend Naz says he can stay there for a bit. Fair. I mean, it is kind of the thing that Arthur did want to spread his wings, that he didn't go to uni like a lot of his mates and he has been left behind. So his frustrations bubble up from that. I can imagine it is hard to break free from that village. Many do, and many have tried and have better lives away from Emmerdale, but it's hard. Like, to get out, you need privilege, you need money, and Arthur at one point thought he had the money, and then that's kind of taken away from him. And in his mind, if he just went off and used Ray's money, he'd feel better that Ray's money was maybe doing some good. Am I glad that he never put that through April's door? Yeah, it probably would have caused more complications. But then was it selfish that he went to do it and then didn't? You could debate that as well. But yeah, I think that's kind of Emmerdale, what's been happening, what we're picking up on, and what we think will come in the future. So another good week in Emmerdale. They've got the creme de la creme of script writers at the moment. Everything kind of makes sense. It's good. Okay, so lastly, we'll move on to Coronation Street. Coronation Street. What a week. It's been a little bit baffling in places. I still don't know what's going on with the whole body thing. Obviously, we get more and more each week. It's coming in. More stuff's coming to light. Now, a lot of people... I've got George down to start with, but I don't really know why. But I think the Steve and Maggie thing... Not Steve and Maggie, but the Maggie thing. We'd obviously seen that flashback. And... Does anyone know what Maggie spotted at Ken's? Was it a picture of Jim? I suppose because Steve was living there, maybe there would be a picture of Jim. Or maybe it was a picture of Liz. Is there a picture of Liz up at... Oh, it could be. Would she have known what Liz was like, looked like? So it turns out that basically Maggie was the other woman. I've jumped in way too quick there. So Jim McDonald's funeral goes ahead. My favourite line of that was when Sally came to sort of give Tim his tie and she went, "Good luck, Steve. He was a man." Pretty much. As much as, and Jim had some good times on that street and some awful times. Do I think Kevin should have gone? Maybe. But a lot of the people that Jim was around, they've gone. The Jacks, the Veras, the Curly Watts, the Betts. Jim was of that time and there's not many left who could have been there. I mean, Sally was around, but should Sally have gone? I don't know. Because she's done less principled things in her life. But Jim had done some horrible things as well. So that's that. So yes, the funeral goes ahead and they end up, there is a kind of wake, but it gravitates back towards the Rovers anyway. Maggie's been off. She's always been a bit off. And as much as she didn't like Lauren, she doesn't want Ollie being with Amy. And we think, why? Because you think she would hold her in more regard. And then things start to come to light. And it's because they're cousins, really. That it looks like Jim McDonald is the real father of Maggie's son, Ben. Which makes Steve and Ben half brothers. So is it any wonder that they fall out, make up, are friends, fall out again? That's probably how him and Andy were all over many, many years before we even met them. So, and I wonder how, when this comes out, how that's going to play into the dynamic of Steve and Tim. Because Tim's not Ben's biggest fan and he feels kind of edged out when they're hanging out. And now we're going to, he's kind of my brother. What? Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. And it's interesting that the script writers have made this choice and both Steve and Ben have called their sons Ollie. Obviously, Steve had Oliver with Leanne and Ben's son with his wife is Ollie. So that's a bit okay. And then I thought of this a bit more today, but it's completely, absolutely Corrie in itself. Steve was with Leanne. Leanne is sister to Eva. Their sister, what? That's mad. And then Steve was also with, and it's because of Steve's many marriages that it twists it up even more. Steve was with Michelle, and Michelle is a relative of Susie, who is Ben's stepdaughter. I'm trying to think how Aidan and Michelle were related. I think it's cousins. Half the time it starts off as cousins, then it ends up being brother and sister. But I think it was cousins. Yeah. But Aidan was a Connor, and Michelle was a Connor. I suppose, is it by marriage? No, it's sister, isn't it? Yeah. Her brain went for a second there. So yeah, they are kind of related, whether it be by marriage or by blood. So to be fair, this family have come in with what looked like very little links at all apart from Eva, and turns out they've got more than they bargained for, and they are now part of the MacDonald dynasty and both the Connor dynasty in a way as well. That's very interesting. And like I've said, that Ollie's obviously drawn more to Lauren, and Lauren is not related to Becky. I'm not saying this at all. Steve's Becky, the lovely Catherine Kelly, but she does remind me of her. She does. She really, really does. Like, there's so much there about Becky that you could unpack versus Lauren. So that, you know, even the family members are kind of going for the same sort of woman. That's my theory. What else did we have this week? We had Todd and Theo splitting up. Obviously, we've got stuff going on, and that's why I was going to start with George. We've got all the George stuff going on, that this woman is still taking him to court, and then social media is playing a part in that and playing up. But Todd and Theo end up breaking up at the end of Theo's birthday. There's a whole thing about Todd being late to his birthday lunch. I mean, who goes for a birthday lunch on a weekday when Todd is working? That's just kind of the mentality we're at there. Gary, what are you doing as well? This is lunchtime. Maria, do you not have work as well? What? I don't know what day of the week this was supposed to be. I suppose days of the week don't really happen within soap. It's just a day. Weekend, weekday, who cares? But surely you'd have it like in the evening. And then he's got more chance of being on time. But that's a Theo thing, isn't it? Like, don't want to eat too late. The whole body is a temple, whatever. So he's late for that. And Todd has enough cash to pay for their meal, but then Maria and Gary have been invited as well, and they're like, oh, we'll pay for ourselves. And Theo's like, no, Todd's paying, that's fine, but he doesn't have access to the joint account, doesn't have a card, and he kind of has to explain to Nick, look, can I come and pay you back a bit later? But then Theo comes over and he's like, no, I'll pay. So he gets his upper hand over Todd, and it's all down to him anyway, of controlling the money and going, I'm doing it for you, like, whatever. No, you're not. It's a lot. Stuff gets thrown. What got thrown? Stuff, mugs. That was it. And Todd kind of bites back and says, you know, enough is enough. Can't do this anymore. Get out, whatever. Or Theo goes. Anyway, they're split up. But Theo's still hanging around. Like, why? You've got one friend in Gary. Do you really need to be around? He's sleeping in his van. And then I suppose he's staying with Gary. I don't know. And he starts dripping poison into the woman who's suing or contesting the will with George. Dripping poison in there. And I think he's the one putting stuff out on social media. We know more's coming. We know Theo is possibly the body. How this is going to work out, I don't know. I know this stuff goes on over years, and I spoke about this, but the way this is ramping up, I feel, you know, hopefully we'll be nearer to the end with this storyline soon. And there's only two ways this can go for Theo, is that he ends up as the body or he leaves in some other way and we never see him again. You can't turn around that kind of character very quickly. Sorry, James, but there's two options here in it. You can't stay as a villain forever. Will he change? I don't think he can. I would have liked to have seen more of his ex-wife be around. I know she pops up now and again, but if we'd seen more of Danielle, he can't have always this just happened to him. He must have had something about him when he was with her. Why is she not speaking up? Why is she not saying anything? The kids don't want to know him. What do the kids know? Why is this it's not just that he's now gay, that he's sort of come out in an investigation. There must be more to the kids not wanting to know him, and they know his behaviour, but they're not speaking up. And to be fair, the daughter was a little bit more as twisted like him, so there is that. We had stuff going on with Alia. I must have missed something with Alia, because now she's still in touch with people from Fabian's, and Adam's taking one of their clients and they're holding her to account. Would it all be done in dodgy pickups and conversations in the car? No, this kind of stuff would be done on letter and via email. It feels very unrealistic. Again, I don't think scriptwriters really ever know what to do with solicitors, because solicitor life is quite, I'm going to say it's quite boring 80% of the time, so they really have to ramp it up, and then it loses its true reality of what goes on. At the same time, Adam's got all the stuff going on with Jodie, and she keeps letting David the dog poop everywhere, and then Jodie enlists like David's help to get back at him, but he films it, Adam films it, and then that worries Jodie that her ex is going to see it on some random Weatherfield group and find out where she is and who she is. Probably will. That adds another point that Jodie might be the body next month. Oh wow, that's next month. April felt so long away when we saw this flash forward. And yeah, that's next month. Just a little, it's about 40 days away. No, actually, it's about 40 days. So a few weeks yet to go. But that adds to that. Jodie's still being her mad self. I don't know if we'll ever it'd be interesting to see what they come up with for Jodie and why she's like this and who is this boyfriend. We talked about this last week. I don't know what other people's theories are on her and why she's like this and what's she up to and what's her end game, what's her motive. It's a lot. And then what happens to her after all of this? Is she going to stick around? Who will she end up with? See, I don't think David's this stupid to like end up cheating on Shona. But then I also think he is that stupid. Who knows? Who knows? Megan's still playing with Sam, and not playing with Sam, playing with Sam's mind and threatening him, and he's struggling and taking more and more of his ADHD meds, and he's getting sicker and sicker. We've had a trailer this week for how things are going to go with Megan. It's interesting that the mind games we've seen her play, this is why I was getting bored of this storyline, because she wasn't really playing any mind games with Will. She was giving him a bit of the brush off and trying to hide her tracks, but the real like underlying thing has been with Sam. Like, that's been the horrible bits. The stuff with Will is she's just playing on his teenageness, and that he wants to be, he thinks he loves her and all that, and this isn't the first guy the kid that she's done this to. And I suppose that I take it back, maybe it wasn't boring, it was just simmering away, and now it's ramping up in hope for April. She's playing with Sam's mind, she's getting him to think things that no one will believe him, like, and Sam's clever, but he's not street smart, and really the only part of him, the most street smart influence on him is kind of Hope. And I adore their friendship. I hope that never really goes away, because it would be great to see those two down the line sort of being, I'm trying to think who kind of rubs along well, that it's quite platonic but they sort of know the way the street is. It's not something we see, like, and maybe they will end up together, maybe they are the future like Fizz and Tyrone of the street. But I enjoy their friendship and the influence that Hope has on him. And she's like, look, you got to think, you got to say these things. I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. And I thought that was lovely. Like, I'm glad we're seeing this side of Hope again. Like, I am the biggest Hope cheerleader there is out there. Like, it would be so much easier if she was just nice and we could have better storylines. And maybe just the odd time she just switches back where she just needs someone dealing with. She could run that street. It would be so cool. You know, and she's got that street smartness about her. And in turn with Ruby as well, Ruby has that streak as well. So actually, you've got potentially there the Ronnie and Roxy of Coronation Street in many years to come. Just saying. So that kind of leaves us at Coronation Street. I think that's kind of what we've touched on most of it. We haven't seen much Debbie stuff this week. As a side note, I did ask about how prisoners with dementia are treated in prison, and I spoke to someone and they said basically, if you're someone, and I suppose you wouldn't remember this, you'd struggle with this, but if you're in prison and you have dementia, no one is your friend. No one in prison is your friend anyway, but especially so if you are vulnerable with dementia, like no one is your friend. So I wonder if we've seen Lou be kind to Debbie, but really at the end of the day, is she a friend or is she just taking advantage of her? That's interesting, but I know I've skipped through. I hope this hasn't been too boring to listen to. If there's anything more you'd like me to discuss or delve into, it's quite hard doing it on my own. So if you do have questions or you'd like to make a point, please get in touch. Like I say, there's the Facebook page, Out in the Wash. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, outinthewash.pod@gmail.com. Do I have a soap swap this week? Yes, I'd like to put Cain Dingle in EastEnders and have him have a conversation with Alfie. That's my soap swap this week. I think it'd be interesting. We put Max Brennan in Emmerdale the other week, so they could do an exchange programme that Emmerdale gets Max Brennan and EastEnders gets Cain Dingle. Cain Dingle versus Phil Mitchell with an alliance in Alfie because of what they're going through, what they've been through, what they're going through. That would be nice. That's my soap swap for the week. Thank you for listening. It's great to get to 10 episodes. Thank you for sticking with this. and I will talk to you again next week.